Let's do this. Oh, yeah. You're muted. No, you're muted. No.
Shit.
Yeah, now I can hear you.
Yeah, there we go. All right. So, hey.
I think – oh, what's up? What's up, Drew? I think Rohan said he was going to eat.
So okay. All right.
I don't think
I dipped out of there before.
Oh, we're already live. Look at that. I didn't know it was
Yeah. No countdown. We're not going to go this is the after show, man. There's no countdown. We're straight into the party here, kids. So
well, all right. Well, fuck yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know if you guys were watching or not. I'm kind of curious as to your take on my take, which apparently is a shit take.
Would you? I gotta be honest. I was looking something up, and I totally didn't hear anything you said while you were talking. And then
I guess I'll put it this way: I think expectations within the fan base need to be tempered a little bit because you can't play 25,000 fucking guys all at one goddamn time. This fan base is like, go get everybody's best players and get rid of all of our worst players, and then we'll have all the best players. And then the next transfer window rolls around, and it's go get all the best players. And then the next transfer window rolls around, and it's go get all the best players. And there's always a disappointment. I want a best 11 that I can see build here for a fucking decade. And everybody, just like I asked you guys before, not Drew, not Jess, Ryan, you, Stan, and Rowan, I asked you guys before. And it's been a while. But could you imagine a transfer window where you just didn't bring in anybody that you looked at as a starter? Could you just see a transfer window where you bring in a depth guy, one or two, and that's it? No, because everybody in this fan base, it's always you have to go get the best every single transfer window.
Well, because
what's the flavor of the week? But what my point is that you may already have the best. You may already have the best, and it's still not good enough. Yeah, you're going to have to change that, Jess.
Why is it like that? Okay.
I have no idea. I don't know why.
What happened?
Oh, Jess. I know Jess. Jess, I know why. Jess, I know why. Get out of here. Log out and log back in on your StreamYard account. That's what happened.
Oh, okay. I'll be back.
Yeah, that's what happened.
Okay, I'll be back.
Thanks for the warning, by the way.
Okay. How do I get out?
That's funny.
So anyway, hi, Drew.
Hey, bud. How are you?
What's up, man?
I'm already kind of tilted. It's fine.
Really?
You're what?
I'm tired. I've been writing so much for GGFN, but also, like, you know me by now that when people say dumb things, I get annoyed really quickly.
So what did I say that's dumb?
No. You guys didn't say anything stupid. Like, I always come into the chat and read bad takes from people who don't know what they're talking about, and then it makes me annoyed instantaneously.
Well, so you'll be perfect for the freak show then, because when we kick off the Arsenal freak show, that's all it is. It's just all of the shit takes that we see on Twitter and making fun of people. How bad can that be?
Yeah.
I'm not going to call anybody out by name when we do the Arsenal Freak Show, but I'm going to call out their tweets and their comments. Like I said, I won't call anybody out by name. I won't embarrass anyone, but yeah. So
understandable.
All right, so Jess is back. Let's see if it works this time. All right, try again.
That's also why I don't really participate in live podcasts, because I see that and then I'll start engaging with the chat when I'm like, no, I'm here for the actual podcast. I see our podcast and I'm seeing which is fine. Like I see Drew and Jess do sometimes, which is fine. It's good conversation. But sometimes I see people in there just to chat with other people in the chat, and it's like, but if you're all chatting bullshit and nonsense and dumb takes, it's like, well, I don't know. It's like I come in and I want to listen to the podcast because I want to see some insightful things. I want to hear some insightful stuff. But I guess it's just me, my experiences, in a chat room, people say really dumb shit, and I'm just like, oh my God, now my mind is to the chat and this really dumb take, and I'm engaging in this dumb person. I don't really know what it was, this idiotic person saying these really stupid shit. And then now I'm not listening to the actual podcast, which is probably saying some really cool shit that I actually like. which is why I can't like. This is why most of the time I don't really watch pods live because it's just like I can't multitask in that facet. So it's just like whatever. But yeah, I'm curious what you heard that got you so mad.
I really want to know what the comment was. It annoying.
It's just people saying dumb things like Brandt's not getting a game. No one's made more appearances for Dortmund this season other than Brandt and Giovanni Reina. He's made the second most appearances, so clearly he's playing. But there's tactical reasons why if he doesn't start is because those are matches where Dortmund want to use two defensive-minded midfielders,
right? Because
they're trying to balance out the team tactically. So they'll use like Witsel and Delaney, or someone like Witsel and Dahoud who might be a bit more defensively responsible. Brandt's a very forward-thinking player, so unless they want to use a player of that type, he's not going to start. And because Marco Reus is fit, he's playing as an attacking midfielder when they have a striker. When there is no striker, Reus will play there if like Haaland's unavailable. So there's a lot of reasons why sometimes he might not be playing at the moment. And like everyone's talking about, which is interesting, is like Dortmund have so much depth at midfield, they rotate a lot. And they're in Champions League. And they're trying to win, the German Cup as usual. So they rotate the squad. So the same thing that fans are saying that you should get is depth and rotate is what's happening to Brandt. And now they're citing the fact that Brandt's not starting every match. It's like, make up your mind. Which one is it? Do you know what I mean? So it's like you can't really hold that against him if the manager rotates. And then like there's a reason why he had a very good season last year. He was first choice. He started 28 matches in Bundesliga last year. Like Brandt's still an excellent player. So it annoys me when people who don't really watch comment as if they're speaking fact. It frustrates me to no end. So it's just frustrating. I don't know. But like to your point about like squad building, like Jess and I have talked about this a lot. I talked about this like I ad nauseum on Twitter today. And I even tweeted about it. I said if I would I'd rather persist with Emil Smith-Rowe and Saka as first choice options and buy a midfielder instead rather than buy Buendia, who I feel like is being like vastly overrated in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
Than bring in a player who likely would want to come to Arsenal. Like we're not going to like if the rumors are true that Norwich are going to want like say 40 million pounds for him, for example, we're not going to go out and spend 40 million pounds for a player in our current iteration that would be a depth player. That's money you spend on a player who comes in and starts the majority of the match. So do you want that?
I'm so glad you're here because you're explaining this infinitely better than what I was doing. But that's it.
Yeah,
that's
you're
exactly, right. You spend 40 million pounds on a player. That dude's not coming in to be Nicolas Pepe, and we already have that.
Right.
So and we spent 72 million on him. So maybe we will. So who knows? Maybe we will spend 40 million.
Well, that's my gripe about it. We're already in a position where we bought a player who had one or two very good years, and we overspent, and he didn't settle in 18 months, and now look where we're at. It's like,
right.
Yeah, I get that Buendia is doing bits against Barnsley's back four, but with all due respect, it's Barnsley's back four. Like, he already kind of his data already dropped massively when he played in the Premier League last season. Yeah. And that was when he was Norwich's only creative player. He's not going to be Arsenal's only creative player. So I don't think that fans realize that he's not going to come here and be pulling Jack Grealish levels of creative data out of his ass 24/7, you know what I mean? And then when you look at other factors, this is like, I feel like for me, my biggest frustration about this fan base is, and we've seen it before with Awa and Joboshai, is when fans like get a sniff of a good player and then that's the only player that they want for the next decade. And if they don't get it, they complain and they'll just keep talking about the player until they get them. It's
flavor. It's flavor of the transfer window, man. That's what it is. Like there's no right. So I'll ask you now, because I for the most part I think you and I pretty much agree on almost everything. And Jess, jump in too. But I asked to Ryan and Stan and Rowan during a show a while ago. Do you have to go out in every transfer window and make these splash signings? Because to me, this is just me in terms of team building, I'm worried about my best 11. What's my best 11 going to be? And I would like that best 11 to be my best 11 for 4 to 5 anywhere from 4 to 8 years. If I get a decade out of it where they continue to be the best 11 and we continue to succeed as a club, even better. Now, it's obviously a very American way of thinking about things, and I understand that things are different over there. But at the same time, is it inconceivable to have a best 11 that's the same best 11 for 4 to 6 years, 7 years maybe?
I don't think so. I know Jess has a lot to say about this topic, so I'll try to keep it brief. I don't think so. But for me, I think it's also commensurate with where you're at as a club. Like right now, we're not a top 4 club. We're not a top 6 club. We don't need all that quality in every single spot in the 11 to rotate because we're trying to win the league. You're trying to make the semifinals of Champions League. We're trying to win the FA Cup. We're trying to win the League Cup. We're not, and that's not who we are as a club right now, right? And Edu said it himself that we're like 3 years a minimum away from trying to push to be that club again. So if you're not trying to push for honors every year, really good players aren't going to want to sit on the bench half the season if they're not winning anything. That plays a huge role in it. Players talk about how the best teams, it's a squad game. It is a squad game, but it's a different level of squad game depending on where your club is at in its current iteration. So the reason why Bayern can go out and buy Leroy Sané despite having Serge Gnabry and Kingsley Coman and Thomas Müller and all those kind of players is because Bayern win the league every year and they're trying to win another Champions League and they're going to win the German Cup again. It's like there's going to be time for you to need those level of players because look at what you're targeting. We're trying to just make sure that we don't finish in the bottom half of the table. If we finished 8th this year, I think it would be like a relatively decent achievement, right? So who's going to want to come in and sit on the bench for a team that maybe can finish 8th and if they're lucky scrape Europa League? Like that's like saying Wolves could have gone out with all their money and tried to upgrade on Diogo Jota, but they never did for a reason. Because at that moment in time, there was no need to do it. They play less matches every year, and why would you want to rotate your best players out when they're in form? So why should we want to rotate Endo, Smith Rowe, and Saka as younger players when they have currently a clearly defined pathway to playing regularly every single week? You rotate them out. You rotate them out every 3rd or every 4th league match for some rest. You give the backup, whoever it is, the beginning stages of the FA Cup and the League Cup. If you're in the Europa League, you give them the half the Europa League matches. But the whole point is if you have really good young players, you give them every chance to be starting players for your club. And I'd rather work on the spine. And with a good spine, you allow your younger attacking players to flourish. If you have a good attacking players with a shit spine, you don't win anything. We've been in that.
Right. Yeah.
We've been in that position for a decade now.
Right.
Look how many good attacking players we've had, but we've had awful imbalanced midfields. The back 4 has been terrible. And look at where it's gotten us. So for me, it doesn't make sense to bring in Buendia, and I'd rather take that same 40 million, buy Basuma for a partner for Partey. And then you hopefully worry about hopefully you nail down your back 4, which 3/4 of it is already kind of really done. You have your keeper, and then you kind of right now you have a center forward in his prime years in Lacazette. Whether he's rated or not, he's shown that he's now working with the youngsters in a good way. And then those 2 or 3 young players express themselves amongst a core of players who are senior players or at least veteran players or players in their prime. That's how you build a squad out. You don't try to upgrade every position just because you can. So
that's my point to all of this is it's like, we'll go buy the player for the sake of spending money and show, hey, look, we spent 40 million pounds. Well, if that's the case, buy me a house. I don't know what more, buy. Hey, okay. A house doesn't need to be 40 million. Buy me a house and a car. That anyway, Jess, go ahead.
No, I think that, we're kind of in a unique situation because I don't think we're like Man City where we can afford to just kind of have 2 or 3 world-class players or top players in every single position and just continue to buy over and over and over again. I think we're closer to maybe like a Liverpool situation where we're on a self-sustaining model and we have to be really smart with our money. But I also think we're in an even more unique situation because when they were building their squad, they didn't have great academy players, and we do. So I don't think we even have to spend as much as Liverpool is spending. I just think that we could buy a couple of players within the spine, you know, our Thomas Partey, whatever other midfielder we want to get, a center back, and maybe upgrade on a striker later. And we're in a good situation. So I don't necessarily feel like we're in a situation where we need to continue to buy top players every single year. Like, I just think we need to use our academy better. And we can focus on the 11. I think Liverpool, that's what they did. They focused on their starting 11. And then they have like Minamino and Naby Keita and Milner and Oxlade-Chamberlain kind of like fill in, you know. And I think that that's ideally how I would like to build the squad, where we focus on the 11 and then maybe use academy players to fill in those positions like the Naby Keita and Minamino situation. So yeah, that's what I would do. I don't know where Tanner is.
I don't know. Tanner always disappears. So.
No, I think that's a good point. I think we need to watch what we spend. We can't do the old fashioned what like Wenger used to do and like, oh, we'll just buy like one or two players and we'll still be like a really good team. It's not the case anymore. You can't just throw money at a problem.
No, you can't. And the thing is, even if we had the money to throw, why should you just aimlessly throw it? Like, again,
exactly.
We're literally dealing with a problem in Pepe where we aimlessly threw an absolute boatload of money and look where it got us. And instead, we could have bought a player for half that price, just as good, and threw the other half that money at a center midfielder or at another center back or whatever it might be. You know, like that's how you build a squad. But you know, what kind of fans aren't really seeing it from that perspective. I'll never understand why personally. So,
like even what Jess was saying about Man City, even if we could afford to go out and do what they've done and put in, you know, two, maybe a third world-class player in one position, they're not going to come here because we're not Man City. We're not on the cusp of winning Champions League, competing year in, year out for Premier League. So it's just that to me right now is just an unrealistic expectation. And it to me, it's like it's squad building 101. You want to see the youth come through and you want to see them succeed. And if they succeed, maybe they're not succeeding here, but they're succeeding. So therefore you can flip them for a decent transfer wage or decent transfer fee that can then be turned into, you know, an area where you're a little, you know, deficient. So
yeah,
I get it. You know, sports it's all about hot takes and everybody, and I get it. I understand everybody wants the best player, but it's not realistic. So I'm not necessarily, I'm just trying to temper expectations.
You don't need the best player though. Like
that's what I'm saying. You need
the best. The crazy thing is that people think you need the best player in every single position, and you literally don't. The best teams that you look at, they don't. It's about the sum of the parts, not the individuals. Like you know, so it's
Barcelona, Real Madrid, Bayern Munich. They have some of the world's best, but they don't have the best player in every position.
Yeah, no, you don't need that.
They also don't have the best player at every depth. They literally went out and bought Eric Choupo-Moting, Bayern Munich. One of the best clubs on the planet is continuing this man's career. And they bought him with the express knowledge that he was going to start 5 matches that season. Right. He also knew that, and he was fine with that.
Sure.
And that's fine.
And you're going to Bayern Munich where, okay, you're probably going to win the Bundesliga. Or at least you're going to be there in the conversation. And you're going to be there in the conversation for Champions League every year too. So, yeah,
right. So a guy like point is you can build out a squad going after players who know they're going to be nothing more than a squad option or a depth option. You don't need. I kind of get fed up with the notion of like you don't need competition for places in every position. You don't. Like, I think you need them in certain areas, sure, but like that whole notion of like I need someone in training to push me every week is kind of folly because the one who should be pushing you every week is the manager. It's not the player behind you who might challenge you for your spot, because really players know if the manager thinks that they're undisputed first choice or not, whether they have competition or not. Right. So that's kind of why, and people have said it, it's clear that Arteta, for example, rates Granit Xhaka. So no matter the form, no matter what he's done on the pitch or off the pitch, he's going to start every week. Even when someone can come in and do a job. We've seen Maitland-Niles come in and do a job. We've seen Elneny maybe do a job. We've seen Bullock do a job. Are they displacing Granit Xhaka even when he's in poor form? No. So. Right. So again, it's kind of a silly notion. Like, again, there's nothing wrong with having your best 11 possible, and then you fill a squad out with a mix of veterans, a mix of role players who are like kind of Swiss Army knife players, and with some sprinkling like kind of youth that have something to play for, and you want to expose them to minutes. You don't need like world-class 11s and then another world-class backup 11. Like, that's no club on the planet has that. Not even Bayern Munich, Real Madrid, or Barcelona. They don't even have that. So
it's about developing to me, it's about developing a system, which is why I didn't want, I remained Arteta in, because I don't want to constantly changing. You have to develop some stability somewhere along the line. Yeah. But the system that we play, whatever the system is that Arteta finally sets himself on when he has his players in, that system then needs to trickle down into the academy. And those players need to be playing, in my opinion, that system as well, because now their expectations of what their responsibilities are and their position translate immediately. There's no, well, I was doing this down there, but I'm playing in the same position, but now he wants me to do something completely different. They can't be, in my opinion, they can't be treated as two separate entities. I'm not
sure we've even gotten to the academy yet, like in a real way. Like, I think Purse kind of trying to kind of like sort through the mess, because like when Arteta first came, he picked out a couple of the players out of the academy that he was interested in or wanted to see like what they could do at a higher level, like Matt Smith and Trey Coyle and some of them, and threw them straight into like I think it's like the League One and League Two teams, so that they can start getting some experience. But then Per went out, and in order to fill that squad that Steve Bold is coaching now, he just got like kids that had kind of been released from other teams. So we're not really at a place where our under 23s is even a development. It's like not really there yet. Like, we're kind of, they're not really there yet. They're not good. They're not good. So Per is kind of like in the beginning stages, and then everything, I guess, with Brexit, I think might change some things as well about how he has to, recruit kids and stuff like that. So I don't even think we've gotten there yet, but I do agree with what you're saying. Like, everything needs to trickle down, but that's going to take time, because Arteta is just now, he hasn't even gotten like a real foothold on the first team. Like, and again, it's going to take time, and you're going to have to be patient. And I would think the two of you, and I know Ryan knows this, but my biggest complaint with Arteta through the bad run was trust yourself. Trust yourself that you are a good enough coach to get these younger players, less experienced players in, and let them do the job. And you coach them, because to me, what he was doing with David Luiz and Willian was, okay, I'm not 100% sold that I know what I'm doing, so I'm going to bring in these veteran players, and I'm going to continue to play them, cut my nose off to spite my face, because I'm leaning on them to kind of carry me through the rough patch. You know what I mean? Can we kind of say that also? I think that that's a good way of thinking about it. Like, that seems realistic, but I also think that that's something that we're kind of assuming based on the situation. Like, it could be like just playing devil's advocate, that he was protecting the young players and also giving the older players enough rope to hang themselves. Like, he gave them just enough time to completely just soil themselves and just completely mess up to the point where he can say, you know what, there's no point in bringing these people back. They're a joke. Like, Arteta's a very smart guy. Like, I have a hard time believing that he was like actually sabotaging himself. And I think that he wanted to give them enough rope to hang themselves so that he could be like, you know what, this is – so Edu can't say, well, David Luiz, he's this, or Willian, he's that. Well, look at him. I gave him this amount of games. Like, there's enough time where you can see, like, it wasn't just 2 or 3 games. Like, they played 10 games in a row. He couldn't do it, so now I'm done with him. You know what I mean? I'm just playing devil's advocate, but I'm just saying, like, Arteta could have done that too.
It sounds a lot better the way you say it than when I say it, Jess. So kudos to that. But the thing I will say, I don't think
what I need you guys to just like keep going. I need to make a phone call. So, Sorry.
The only thing I'm going to say to that is I agree with everything that you said, obviously, because obviously I said that, but I don't think he thought that we would be in the position we were in. I don't think he thought we would be flirting with relegation.
No, I think he thought he had a whole season to play, like he would be able to transition with, the older players. He didn't think that they were going to down tools the way that they did. I don't think he thought it was going to go this way. I think he wanted to give the younger players a chance to have better people around them when they got introduced into the first team. But he had to rush them in to save himself, so now we're here. There's going to be bumps in the road now, because we're going to have to bring Willian and them back in because rotation and all that kind of stuff. So we'll see what happens, but it just rushed up on him. I don't ever think he thought that, I think he knew who they were, but I think he thought that they had them enough on side where he could just kind of get through the season, get Europa League again and kind of move on. But it got real crazy real quick,
Yeah, Premier League's no joke.
But sometimes opportunities present themselves, and if players take their chances, then you have to reward them by giving them chances. Like everyone kind of talks about Alphonso Davies a lot, but the only reason why he starting games for Bayern was because Bayern were missing 4 defenders through injury. If that never happens, he never plays. And to his credit, he took his chance and he did well. So Hansi Flick didn't reward him by benching him whenever he became fit. He kept playing him as left back, and now he's the first choice left back. So, and while I'm not saying that ESR and Saka are Alphonso Davies, but the situation is exactly the same. We didn't expect Smith Rowe or Saka to maybe be so effective consistently so soon, but the fact that they are being that, you need to foster that and keep playing them. You need to build around them. You don't need to go ahead and stifle them by doing nonsensical things with the little money that we do have. So it's kind of like a weird. I do agree that I don't think Arteta would have put their timetable where they're at currently, but if they accelerated it on their own merit, then you keep allowing them to do it instead of.
I think it was a last-ditch effort, to save himself. Sure. I think he thought, these are the only players at this point that I can trust to go out there, because for their own sake, they needed to go out there and play, regardless to if it had anything to do with Arteta. Young players that don't want to be loaned out, they want to have their shot, that kind of stuff. So it worked out to his advantage, not to say that he's not going to have more, hiccups with the older player. I just don't see them being able to turn it around, but, we'll see. We'll see what happens, I don't know.
Yeah, I think I really think it depends on who we get rid of. We have a lot of. I mean, you could talk clicks, you could talk bad for the dressing room. I just think there's just so many players that just need to get out, and they're just bad for the younger players. You don't need imagine how these old imagine how Aubameyang, Willian, Luis. How they feel when you put Saka, Martinelli, and ESR in the lineup, and now we're beat. I know it's West Brom, but you're beating West Brom 4-0. You're beating Chelsea. You're beating these teams. It's just
I don't think it's inspiring them or anything. I think it's
I think
it's
the opposite.
I think it's pissing them off.
Pissing them off, and they can then. I don't want to say poison the dressing room, because I think that to that extent it's kind of already happened. But I think it'll get worse before it gets better.
Yeah. Well, if you can get some of them out, I mean, you're not going to be able to get rid of the ones that you just said, but just some of the people that are just kind of hanging around for whatever reason, you get some of them out, and we just have to scrape through the rest of the season. It's going to be bumpy because there's a lot of people that know they're going to leave in the summer. Everything is kind of uncertain, so I don't think we're I think what Drew said, if we were able to get 8th, and I know that that's not a goal that Arsenal should be having, but based on the other teams and how we've started and how we prepared for the season, which wasn't great. I think 8th place is about where we are. Anything above that, we've overachieved. Anything under that, we've underachieved. 8th is there are 7 better teams than us in the league. I can say that. Teams.
Yeah, I probably agree with you. I gotta see the line.
In terms of their consistency, how close they are to being a finished product, the type of players that they have, the momentum that they have, their ability to bounce back from bad spells. There's teams that have been able to, lose 2 games in a row and bounce back. I haven't seen, I want to see what happens the next time we lose a game. Like, I want to see if it's going to take us into another 7-game down, or if we're going to be able to turn it around quick, because we're going to lose a game soon. It's natural. That's what I want to see. Like, there's just other teams that I've seen, like, they're not better than us with individual players, but in terms of what they've been able to achieve this season, I think it's going to be difficult for us to get anything above 8th. I
agree. And like, it's funny you say like, oh, there's 7 teams better than us. And like, it's not, I legit, I do not disagree with you at all. But my whole thing is I think that this season's weird. I mean, bar COVID, obviously, but all these teams are beatable. You look at the top of the table, it's Liverpool. They just lost Southampton 1-0. And I think, kind of, I said on the podcast earlier, I think it really depends on how these other teams do and how these other teams fight against each other and play against each other and how they finish. Because someone like a Chelsea, you would say like, oh, well, Chelsea's 100% going to finish ahead of us, and like they're leaps and bounds better than us, even though in my opinion, the defense is still shaky as shit. But then it's like, well, they're hitting a roadblock, they're hitting a run of form, they can't get it together. People are questioning why Giroud's not starting, which he's playing well, but it's like, whoa, like what? You made all these signings and now you're questioning, So I think it just, I don't know.
You know what? Chelsea is not even a team that I'm worried about. Like, to me, honestly, it's the teams like, I hate to say it, like, and please nobody like kill me, but like it's the West Hams, it's the Aston Villas, it's the Evertons, it's the Southamptons. It's
I was going to say Southampton and Villa. Those are the two teams I like.
These are the teams that I'm like, how are we about to like, because, and when the opportunity presents itself for us to jump from, let's say we're in 9th and the opportunity presents like for us to get into 7th, 6th or 7th, will we take that opportunity or will we cave? We always, every single time we get in that, where it's like, oh, we could easily jump up, into Europa League spots, into whatever spots, we never do it. So until I see it, I'm just going to say 8th, like that's it, but if we could do something different this season, like, lose a game and not go into like a pit of despair, if we can see an opportunity and take it, like, let's do it. Let's see, but I'm not confident, at all.
In finishing better than 8th?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's fair. It's tough too, because to me that my biggest concern is just like injuries, and like I feel like we've kind of found our niche, and it's like, okay, look, let's work with this slowly but surely. Let's do this. Let's work up the table, I guess. Because, well, like you said, I think we're still going to lose. Things are still I think I don't want to go as far as to say we're going to hit a rough patch, but I do see us maybe losing maybe 2 out of 3, maybe even like not winning 3 out of 4. But I think it's, again, like you said, it's just how we respond, and I kind of really want to see how Arteta responds. Like, let's say we lose 2 straight games. Do you think Arteta's just like, all right, fuck this, ESR, you're not starting, Martinelli, you're not starting. We got to bounce back. Let's play Willian. I'm not saying he would do that. That wouldn't make any sense.
It depends on how we lose the games. I think Arteta looks at how we lose games. It's when you're not trying, then I think he's like, I'll take you out, or you're not listening to directions. But if the game just goes and you lose, like, and I think with young players, he has to be really careful about snatching them out if they do lose games, like, because it could kill their confidence. Like, Willian and them lost like 7 games in a freaking row. I don't want to hear crap about ESR and them losing games, because I can't see them walking about the pitch and freaking losing. Like, you know what I mean? So I think it's the way that they lose, but we'll see. Like, I don't know. I don't know what like Arsenal thinks of the season, if it's a free hit or if they expect to get into Europa League. Like, we'll see. Like, I just feel it needs to be a free hit, because I just don't I don't know what we're going to do. Like, I really, really don't. I just want to see us do something different.
It's weird. Yeah, and it's funny you say it, because it's weird because we don't really, I don't think we have a lot of money to move around. But part of me is like nervous that like Arteta's like, okay, listen, like I found what works, but like kind of what you talked about, what happens when it stops working? And I feel like in his mind, he might be like, well, I need to buy players to where like if this stops working, I could plug and play. And it's like,
you mean like in the summer? In the summer, right? in January?
Yeah, but I kind of mean now. Like, I listen. I'm all about selling. I don't care. I kind of hope we don't buy anybody, but
there's nobody to buy.
Exactly. Well,
if there's nobody to buy, then there's nothing you can do. There's literally nobody. There's nobody.
I hope that's the case. But I'm just saying, like, as a young, if he's, because he is a young, inexperienced manager, I'm thinking like in his case, he might be like, well, okay, what if Iasara, Martinelli, and Saka fail? What do I do? I need to buy somebody that could potentially get me out of this hole, because I've seen what the end of I've seen the bottom of my grave, because I'm sure he had to have been close to getting sacked. So I'm just like, all right, I've seen the bottom of my grave. I don't want to be anywhere near there. So, but then you bring up good points, like, well, we have nobody to. There's going to be nobody to buy. So
no point in buying somebody that, there's no point in bringing anybody in that, like, a lone player from a different league could be problematic because they may not adapt in time. Then you buy somebody and you actually put the money on it. Like, you have to make sure that it works, so, and I just don't think there's any perfect solution. I hear what you're saying about Buendia. Like, my thing about Buendia is he's not a 10. So to me, I wouldn't have any expectation of him being like a hub of creativity. I would just see him as somebody to kind of like, fill in and play with Saka and them, but I don't see him in that role, but I don't necessarily feel like he's somebody that we need to risk it all on. No, you know what I'm saying?
I personally don't like him. I don't want to buy him.
I know you don't like him because you think he down tools at the end of the season, right?
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
And which sucks is I think he's not the perfect player, but he's someone that I think, given our culture and like what we have emitted as a club, it's something that I think we're gonna attract a player like him, where like, if I down tools, if this happens, like whatever, I'll serve my suspension and I'll come back in and I'll play, like, i.e. Brandon John. Like, we
need to wait to see, like, this attacking midfielder player might show up in the summer, and I'm just afraid that if we commit funds, you know what I mean? Like, and then we have Emile Smith-Rowe. Like, I just feel like the position that we can't fill within our ranks at the moment is the person that's gonna be Thomas Partey's partner. So that's the person that I'd rather us go out and spend the money on and just use Emile Smith-Rowe and Saka and these types until we figure out what's really going on, because it's just like, when I watch Emile Smith-Rowe play, I'm just kind of like, he might be able to really do something for us. And if we're not looking to just kind of like place all of our creativity on one player, then I don't see why we can't play like a mix of Martinelli and Saka and Emile Smith-Rowe and, kind of mix it around and then just solidify the midfield. The two people behind him,
I couldn't agree more. Yeah, I want Basuma. I think Basuma's the guy we need to get. I like Brandt too. I don't think we're gonna be able to get both of them, but like, I don't know if it makes sense to get both of them either. But like,
well, if they decided they don't want Brandt, like after the new coach comes in or whatever, he's still unsettled. Like, if we could, that would be somebody that I would look for in the summer if we could, because I think out of everybody that we've been linked to, he's the only one that makes true sense, like where if he came in, it wouldn't feel weird. And he could play in multiple positions and people say Buendia is, he can play in multiple positions. He really can't. Like, he really can't. He plays off the right. Like, that's it. Like, he doesn't play in the center. He can't play off the left. But Brandt could play as a 10 off the left or a little bit deeper. So, I don't know. I just feel like people need to give that idea more of a chance, especially like if we could get him, we would get him cheaper than what we would get for Buendia, but we would get so much more. So I don't really get the Buendia like desperation. Like, I'm not understanding. It feels very Awa-esque, so
yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah. I would probably relate to that too.
The thing with Awar is, I mean, I was on that. I'll be honest with you. I was on that.
You were on it, weren't you?
I was. It was, well,
we didn't even had many fights on air and off air. I was all about Partey.
My thing with Awar was I looked at Thomas Partey and I said, if you're only going to get one, and Drew, you might actually, this might be one of those dumb things that annoys you.
Get him, Drew, get him.
My thing with Awar was we don't have anybody in that position because Smith-Rowe was getting no playing time. We had nobody as an attacking midfielder that we relied on. So you bring him in. Thomas Partey, while you say there's nobody like him in the lineup. There's not. There's nobody as good as him in the lineup. There's Granit Xhaka is not as good as Thomas Partey, but there are players there that could have done the job, just not done it as well as he does. So it's like you have players in this position, but you have no players in this position. That's why I'm not mad about it.
We don't have a box-to-box midfielder, though.
I mean,
we have a bunch of holding midfielders that don't really cross the halfway line, but we don't have any box-to-box midfielders.
I mean, there was Joe Willock who was getting playing time, and I could see him as kind of that guy. But I'm not. Again, understand what I'm saying is this: there were players there who you could have tried to get them to play that role, and it wouldn't have been a far-fetched idea. There, other than Smith Rowe, and Ozil, there's no attacking midfielder in this club. So I was looking at it from the standpoint of, if you're not going to play either of those guys, who slots into that role? So you go get the guy that to me, you fill the position that is completely bare, rather than get the guy that, I think is the better player. I agree. But you have other guys that you could try to pigeonhole into that role, and it wouldn't be like I said, it wouldn't be a far-fetched idea. Danny Ceballos, Joe Willock, you could try it, is all I'm saying.
I talked to Drew about this, though. Like, I feel like with Thomas Partey, it's like with certain players, you just have to get the person. Like, when I was looking at it, I was like, who is the better fit in terms of the overall project, not what we need at the moment, because we're rebuilding. Right. Even if we had gotten a wall and we still had El Neni and Ceballos and Xhaka behind him, that doesn't mean like all of our problems would have been solved. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I think we're in a rebuild, and like, regardless to what time the pieces come in, the pieces need to all be right. So when I'm looking at a wall and I'm looking at it, I'm like, okay, well, yeah, we can find another player like that. There's a lot of Awas, but there's no other parties out there. And he's the perfect player with the right mentality that's played in a Simeone system, which, like, he plays multiple systems with a lot of discipline involved, and tactical, IQ needs to be, at the forefront of most of his players' minds. Like, that's something you just don't find with any old player. So when I was looking at it, I was more like, who's the better fit for the long term, in terms of pieces, not in time frame. Because there will be another Awa. Like, I'm telling you, like, when the summer rolls around, there'll be another young player, 20-something years old, French, playing off the left-hand side that can dribble and do megs. Like, there will be, but there won't be another Thomas Partey.
I was beating the Saeed Ben-Rama drum last year at this time too. I was like,
I do like Ben-Rama. I think that he just needs more time. I think he needs more time. He needs time to adapt.
Yeah, but like I said,
But he went to West Ham too, which I don't think.
Yeah, and he's not. He doesn't play. He barely plays. Yeah, I don't think he gets. He barely gets a sniff. I'm assuming, because I don't ever hear anything about him.
He's always on the bench.
Yeah, I won't claim to know much about it, because I like I said, I'm not paying it that much attention. But yeah, I don't think that dude gets a sniff now. So, but at any rate, she lost me at Ben-Rama. Yeah. So what else were you guys talking about while I had to dip away?
I gotta say one thing, because TD Shifts asked me. Sorry, Drew, this might offend you, but so the answer to his question, Flyers suck, Rangers swallow. Anyways, that's just
jump in, get him.
It's the nature of the game. He asked me what I thought of the Flyers, so I just had to,
I think Drew, I think you know how I'm going to answer that question.
We can all agree that the Flyers are dog shit, so it's fine.
Yes.
And honestly, to me, the Penguins, I don't want to get too graphic because we have a lady amongst our midst, but like,
wait, Penguins, where? Hang on, where?
I was talking about you. I was talking about you, actually.
Here's my notebook.
But yeah, like the Penguins, they don't suck or swallow. They're I won't get too into what they're doing. They're doing a lot worse than both the Rangers and the Flyers. So I won't get too into it because I don't get Tanner upset.
You're not gonna upset me.
I know, I'm kidding.
Opinions are like assholes, baby. Everybody's got one. They all fucking stink.
Yeah. Do you sound like
gosh.
I sound like a high school phys ed coach. I think that's what he used to say. I'm like, yeah, great.
My old man gave me that one. So anytime I'd given it, I was like, well, it's just my opinion. You'd be like, you know what opinions are? They're like assholes. Everybody's got one. So anyway, now what were you guys talking about while I was on the phone?
Just squad building and such, more of a discussion.
Same.
We were vibing. Me and Jess were vibing on how I think Arteta isn't throwing games, but he's letting the players hang themselves. But again, I say this. I thought that he didn't realize. Oh fuck! I have David Luiz Willian, who I don't care what anyone says, and someone said it in the chat in our thing, like, "Oh, you took all of our rejects." Willian was your best fucking player last season. Don't get mad at me with that shit. And it's like you think like we're gonna be, he didn't expect us to be, fighting relegation, which I don't think any of us did, even with everybody in our squad. So, who we signed to replace Aubameyang?
I mean, this is somebody like. Can you imagine, like, Arteta had meetings with good old Willian, and they're sitting around that little table, and Edu's sitting there, and they're talking about it, and Arteta's giving him his plans, and Willian's sitting there like, yeah, like, I'm filling your plans. Like, of course, I'd love to be a part of this project. Like, yeah, man, I'm down. And then he signs the contract at Kia's house, and then down tools on the man after the Fulham game. Like, what kind of crap is this? Like, if I'm Arteta, I'm like, also, I'm not going to let you hide. I'm not about to let you collect a check. And, like, he's embarrassing himself every single time he goes out there. He's proving himself to be a total, like, unprofessional piece of crap. So I understand Arteta, like, he might know that some players need to be out there in the light so people can see how crap they actually are. Because I think almost like Willian might be, like, sit me down. Like, I don't want to be out here looking crazy. Because, I mean, every single time he touches the pitch, he looks like a clown. Like, it's so bad. Arteta's like, you can go out here and earn this money. Like, like, it may not be what we want to see, but, I mean, I can understand if Arteta's a little vexed, and is like, you're going to play for this money. Like, you're not about to sit here on this bench,
So it's crazy. Like I think I talked about it last. I don't. Who cares? And I always say, Willian was Chelsea's best player last season. Obviously, age is a factor while he's not playing well this season. But do you think maybe, like, I don't want to be like really mean about it, but like, do you think he's just an idiot? Like his IQ for Arteta's system and what he wants to do, just like isn't good. Like, yeah, he's organized, he's structured. He knows where to be. I guess that's like good. That's like part of his system. But then you think like, well, I just don't believe that he took such a nosedive from his season last year. Because I'm not saying he had like an amazing season. It was like a career season, but he was Chelsea's best player. Or like, fine, we'll say one of Chelsea's best players.
He was playing for a contract. He was playing for a contract.
I guess. So he got it. Now he's gonna sit on it. Yeah, maybe.
He's mad. Like, you could tell that he was, like, bitter that he didn't get that third year from Chelsea. Like, This man is sitting here like he's pissed. Like, and when you're playing, it's like when you're playing that hard and you're so into it, like, once you kind of relax, you can't get back into it. He's at a completely different team in a totally different circumstance. He's sitting over there like, gosh, I can't believe I didn't get that third year. Like, he's not prepared to be in a team that's in a rebuild like this. He's not. He needs to go to the MLS or China or somewhere like that. Like, he's done out here. Like, he's just done. It's not a physical thing. It's a up here thing. He's done.
Yeah. This was the wrong club for him to come to. We weren't, like you just said, we weren't in a position for him to, to get the most out of him. So,
and it's funny too. I was actually like hoping he started against Chelsea. I like really want him to play because I'm like, again, like stupid American sports. Like when you watch football, like when teams play their former teams, they go off because it's like a revenge game. Now, like,
we've been waiting for him to go off for a long time. We thought he was going to go off against Spurs. He was going to go off. He hasn't went off yet.
There's one game in the season he's going to go off. Well, I guess 2 games. So we play him twice.
He already did it. Fulham. That was it.
Yeah, but I'm saying like if he's gonna like really play with passion and knock down tools and be like as close as he can to his former self, he's going to play his best game against his former team that said, fuck you. We're not going to pay you what you want. We're letting you go. And kind of like, I guess in his eyes, like betrayed him. So it's like, I don't know. I really want to see him play against Chelsea when we play him again.
They weren't feeling well, so.
Yeah, I don't know how. I don't know. I didn't know
they
what
weren't
to make
feeling well.
I didn't know what.
That's all I'm gonna say about that. They weren't feeling well.
David Luiz is such a weird. Like, I don't even know, because I hated when we signed. I didn't like that we signed him, and then we gave him the extension. I didn't like it, and then when I'm like, oh, but like we extended him, but we're paying less money. So I'm like, okay, that's what I'm here. I've heard it from.
Are we sure?
I guess I'm not. Yeah, I think you actually said that in the chat to me, I think last week, but I don't know for sure, but I've heard from multiple sources he took a pay cut. So
okay.
I'm just, whatever. I'm going by what I read, which is the worst thing ever, but I'm doing it anyway. And then all I hear about is how like he's so good with the kids. He's bringing the kids in. He's integrating the new players with the team. He's doing such good things. And I'm like thinking to myself, like, oh, this guy's fucking great. And then he did an interview with Ian Wright on Ian Wright's YouTube channel, and I was like, dude, man, I'm starting to really like this guy. Like, I think I actually tweeted the video out. I'm like, dude, I'm really starting to like him. Like, he's betting these guys in. And he fucking got me. Like, I feel like I got Bill Cosby. I really do. Because now I'm hearing like, oh, he's toxic. Him and William doing shit in the locker room. And then I'm like thinking like, well, it makes sense because I know William like pretty much solely got Conte out of Chelsea. And then it's like, ooh, I love Baconators.
I really want a Baconator now. Thank you.
I don't. But
God,
you know what's so funny? I'm sorry, I'm going completely.
Shut your mouth.
The pretzel pub sandwich is probably Wendy's best sandwich. I actually don't like Wendy's. If I had to rank Burger King, McDonald's, Wendy's, I would probably go.
Wendy's is the best.
When I was a kid in high school and even in college, Wendy's was number one for me. But I don't know what it is. I think it's the Wendy's in Connecticut. They suck. So
their value menu is like fire.
The only thing I like about Wendy's is the Frosties. After that, it's just for me, it's downhill.
When I used to eat like chicken and stuff, I used to love their spicy nuggets. Like I would.
Everybody loves these nuggets. I like McDonald's nuggets, even after I found out how.
Oh hell no!
I found out.
McDonald's nuggets are like weird.
I don't know if you guys seen the video or pictures of how the nuggets are made. It's some pink slime. Yeah. Drew's shaking his head.
It's like it's not.
It's disgusting.
There's no meat in there. It's just it's like foam. It's strange.
I love them. I don't.
You like that? Oh my god! I can't.
Listen. I'm not gonna tell you how fat I am, but I'm gonna tell you how fat I am. I forget who I was talking to. One of my friends, and we were fucking around. They were joking around with me, like, "Oh, you're doing the 50 nugget challenge." It's like, what is it? It's like 50 nuggets, a large Coke, or might have been 2 large Cokes, and 2 large fries, or 1. I don't even remember. I did this years ago. I actually did it, and I felt like a piece of shit after. But yeah, McDonald's. I don't know. I like their nuggets. I don't know what it is, but yeah, I don't know. Wendy's has soured me off. And I guess now I'm getting older. Every time I have Wendy's in the last like year or so, I just feel like someone kicked my ass. I'm like, I can't do it. Granted, I eat like a fat ass, so I guess I deserve that. But yeah.
I used to like Burger King's chicken fries. Used to like those. Those are good.
Oh yeah, Burger King chicken fries are solid.
Those are fire. Weren't they good? I thought
they were good.
So funny story. I'm coming from work yesterday, and I'm like, all right, well. Megan, I think she was at work later. I don't even know. She was at her friend's house watching the Bachelorette finale or whatever. So I'll pick food up on the way home. Coming home, I go into Burger King. I got Burger King because she hates Burger King. They literally go, oh, yeah, just, we only have chicken nuggets and chicken fries. I was like, okay. And I'm like ordering a sandwich thinking like, oh, they just want to have fries. So I'm like, oh, I'll have this. Like, they're like, oh, no. We only have chicken nuggets and chicken fries. I was like, how are you open? Like, I'm like, literally, that's all they had. Listen, I know fat guy problems, but I literally was like so upset. That's like, they were like, oh, wait, no, you misheard me. We literally only have to sell chicken fries and chicken nuggets. I'm like, well, how are you open? Yeah.
Okay, let's get back to the talk because Lone Star
all I
Londoners
want
over the Food Network chat.
Now all I want is fat guy food.
I'm going to get pretzels. I'm getting pretzels. I'll be back.
Damn it.
But yeah, what I see, I saw something in the chat that people were talking about. Oh, Edouard. Edouard is a Aubameyang. To me, he's a better option than Pat Sandaka because he can hold the ball up and be a part of build-up play. He can hold the ball up and he can also turn, and he has skills, and he can start from the halfway line and be a part of what we're doing in terms of getting into the box and all that kind of stuff. So he would be somebody that I would really like. I like the player a lot. I know people have apprehensions about him because he's coming from the Scottish League, but I wouldn't worry about that so much if he came in and, you know, I don't really have a problem with it, like them coming from like a lower league. It's just, is the profile right?
Right.
You know,
yeah.
I think the profile would be nice, and he's taller and more physical is better too. Yeah, I like him. I do.
I don't think it's a bad shout at all. It's like you say, it's does his playing style fit what the system here is? And I mean at the end of the day, I mean that you know, that's what it's, for the most part, that's what it has to be about. It can't really be about anything else, you know?
Yeah, especially because we're in a rebuild,
I mean,
so it's not like we're looking for somebody like that would need to be perfect right away, you know, but it has to be the right price with the right profile and all that kind of stuff. Like, that's what we need to really be thinking about. And I don't think you could really go wrong with him. I think as soon as he steps onto the pitch for Arsenal, he's worth a lot more, you know. I think he would be a good shout. You know, I don't know if we'd go for him because he would cost probably around like 40, I think. I think a percentage of it has to go to PSG, I think, maybe. You know, so do you know about that, Drew? Do you know if like a percentage of that has to go to PSG? Isn't he a PSG product or no?
For who?
You know, Edouard.
Edouard.
Off the top of my head, I don't actually remember.
I'm not sure. I know that it'll probably cost around like 40. They're not going to give him away to us.
Oh,
now that would be
not.
something that I would be like, do you want Eddie Nketiah? Like, take him.
I don't. Yeah, he came from PSG, but it depends on how they structure this deal. Like, does PSG get a percentage after he makes another move? Like, they might have to make outstanding payments off of clauses if they had like goal clauses or appearance clauses or whatever. Like, they owe the outstanding balance or whatever. I don't know what the contract looks like, but it's possible that they might have to.
But this is also something that we don't need to look at strikers until Lacazette leaves. And I just think like with 1 year left on his deal, like starting this summer, I don't see him going anywhere. He's never going to get the amount of money that he's getting at Arsenal. He's playing at the moment. So I could see him walking away for free. So I don't really see a need to look for a striker. I think we need to focus on the center back and the midfielder. And then once we've done that, then Lacazette will be gone. Then we can evaluate Balogun. Hopefully Eddie Nketiah will be gone. And then we can invest some of the money that we have into a striker or elsewhere on the pitch. But the striker conversation to me is closed until Lacazette is gone. We have so many strikers. We don't need to even be looking at it.
Go ahead, Jess.
I was just going to say, and with the right people behind the strikers, I don't think we have a real issue with scoring goals. I think it was like we weren't connecting, you know, the midfield to the strikers at that time. But we have enough goal scorers we're fine up top.
Yeah. I don't, you know what, in certain instances, and I was thinking about this last night, and quite frankly, this is awful to say, but so I decided to put on a Metallica concert last night at 1:30 in the morning on YouTube.
Oh,
and
awesome.
So I didn't fall asleep till a cool 5:30 a.m. Not because I watched the whole thing, but just you listen to that kind of music, and now I'm all amped up on it. Yeah, fuck it. And I don't headbang like that. That's weird. But no, I got to thinking about Aubameyang last night and the contract extension. And hindsight's always going to be 2020.
Yeah.
And And now I think there could be a little bit of buyer's remorse, but his contract was up at the end of this season. Would it have been the worst thing in the world to let it run down? Sometimes, see, to me, and this is another thing that drives me nuts about this fan base, is you always, I understand you never want to lose a player for free. I get it.
Yeah.
But eventually, if you keep handing out these extensions, warranted or otherwise, you're going to run into a situation. Aubameyang's leaving for free at the end of the contract. Nobody's going to buy him so not this coming summer of 2022, going into the final year of that contract. Who's going to buy him? Who's going to buy a 35, almost 36-year-old striker for any sort of reasonable money? Nobody. I just don't see it happening. So now you're going to let him run his contract. Now he's going to walk for free.
Yeah.
Well, to me, I'll be honest. I look back on it now and I think to myself, and again, hindsight's 20/20. I get that. In the moment, I wanted him to sign. I don't like the third year, but I wanted him to sign. But I look back on it and I think to myself, would it have been the worst thing for him to just play out this year? Let him play the year out. And if he walks for free, he walks for free. But now, because he's gonna walk for free in 3 years.
Yeah.
It's more. So in a situation like this, you have three options. Your first option is you do the contract extension. And we'll use Aubameyang as the example. You do the contract extension. Now you have a striker who's going to be nearly 36 years old when that contract runs out. You're going to get nothing for him, and he's leaving for free at the end of the contract. Second option is you sell him in this last transfer window. You sell him last summer. You don't recoup. You might have gotten 50 for him just based on performance. I don't think you're not going to get. I don't think we're getting what we paid for him. But now you've kind of cut off your nose to spite your face because there's no guarantee that you can replace his goals. And let's face it, he's pretty much carried us the last 2 years in terms of scoring. But the third option is the option that nobody ever really seems to want to talk about. And the third option sometimes is the option that's best for business. And that third option is do nothing. Keep him for the year.
Yeah.
And if he signs if we get to this point now where he can sign, if he could sign a pre-contract with another team, you would think that Arsenal could, if they wanted to, would come in and say, well, wait a minute. Now maybe a first right of refusal kind of thing. We say, well, give us a chance to match it at the very least, and we'll talk about extension. Or you just let him walk and you say, okay, if he doesn't sign the pre-contract, now he gets to May, June, and you read the tea leaves in the transfer market. Is anybody going to give him what he wants versus can we keep him for another year, give him another year contract, bump his salary up a bit if he performs? You know what I mean? So it's again,
but I think we talked about this, and just really quick, I think the Assembled was asking me in the comments, why am I so sure that Lacazette is going to leave? The Lacazette situation to me is just like a normal situation where when you're being paid an exorbitant amount of money, like more than you'll ever earn anywhere else, there's other factors other than football that affect whether a player will leave a club or not. You have 1 year left. This is the last time you're going to get $200,000 a week. He's on $200,000 a week. He's going to be on the wrong side of 30 when he leaves Arsenal. So the next contract he gets, he'd be lucky if he got half of what he's getting at Arsenal, and he's most likely paying for his family to live. Do you see what I'm saying? So, hi, Rowan. So it doesn't really make sense for him to leave. So I see him running his deal down, especially for Arsenal. It doesn't make sense for us to get rid of Lacazette not knowing what Balogun really is, and then having to stop our rebuild in terms of our midfield and our defense to grab a striker. So for us at the moment, it doesn't bother me that Lacazette might run his deal down. The opportunity for us to sell him was this past summer. We bottled it. We didn't do it. So now we just have to let it go.
The fact is, sometimes you just can't do it all. You can't account for every possible scenario. You just can't. It's just It's just not possible to account for every scenario. Sometimes, and like you said with Lacazette, I'm in total agreement with you. I love the dude. I'm okay with him running his contract down. I'm okay with that. And
people forget that the player has to agree to leave. We can't force Lacazette to leave. If he doesn't want to leave, which if I'm Lacazette, I don't want to go anywhere. I'm playing. I'm being paid more than I'll ever get paid. I'm paying for my family. I'm not going anywhere. And with Aubameyang, like, I just think with him, like, we've talked about this before. I understand why the club felt like they needed to re-sign him because they're trying to appease the fan base. Like, and they felt like, okay, well, it would look so bad for us to lose our star striker after what he did in the FA Cup. And basically that he was dubbed the person that won us the FA Cup and all that kind of stuff. So it was that pressure. But my thing is that, like, if I'm sitting in that boardroom with Edu and Arteta, I'm reminding them that we also felt pressured with Mesut Ozil. That if we had gotten rid of Mesut Ozil at the time that we got rid of Alexis, the fan base would have went crazy. And then now we're in the situation that we're in with him. So we have hindsight on that type of situation. So I'm not sure why we walked straight back into another situation because we felt like the fans were going to feel a certain type of way. By this time, like, if Aubameyang had left, I would not be thinking about Aubameyang. I wouldn't be thinking about it. The entire season, he threatened to leave us. From January, we were already talking about where Aubameyang was going to go. And we had to go through that the entire season for him to re-sign because nobody else could pay what he wanted. That's the reality. Like, so having hindsight and not taking the option to let him go or sell him is strange to me. We're in the situation now. He's definitely going to run. I think I agree with you, Tanner. I think he's going to run his deal down. I don't think he's never going to get that money again anywhere else. He could totally run his deal down and play a couple more years in China or Saudi Arabia or somewhere else where they give him money.
Go back to France. Go back to France.
Or go back to France. But I'm not being mean about Aubameyang. Like, I don't think he's like just all about money, but I do think he'll take the money option in his next situation. But he can definitely at 35 go to China, whatever, make more money. But we're not going to make any money off of Aubameyang or Lacazette. That's just the reality now.
Yeah. Yep.
So the guys here know I'm a big Aubameyang guy, and what being said here, I mean, I generally agree with most of what you guys say, but right now we're talking a lot based on hindsight, right? Like, I mean, it's not just that. Well, the situation is different to Mesut Ozil because Mesut Ozil was not performing before he got the contract, while Aubameyang clearly was. And it's not that he just performed and won us the FA Cup, but he performed for 2.5 years from his first match, which was against Everton, where he scored a brace, I think, till the time that he signed the contract. He played really well. Now, I don't know what's gone down after that, whether it's a relationship between him and Arteta, or if it's just his form that's fallen off the cliff. I clearly see that there's a lack of effort right now, and that depends, that calls for man management, because he's clearly you can't turn from being a world-class player to being a rubbish player, not even meriting a starting 11 in this relegation-threatened Arsenal squad within 2 months, right? Like, I mean, that just doesn't happen. So there's more than that, right? So, and I think that it was absolutely the right decision to give him that contract, because, I mean, not taking hindsight as my excuse right now, but at that point, if I was in their position, not just because of the pressure that I feel from the fans, and not because he's just going to walk away for free, but it's because the cost to replace him and the cost to get a new striker who would potentially give you those many goals, a 20-goal season striker, 20 to 25 goals, costs much more than what his contract is worth or what he would have gone for. And that's the reason why they gave him the contract. Now, whatever has gone down cannot be legislated for. That is out of everyone's control. So that is sort of the issue here. In 3 years, he will walk away for free. At the end of it, every player at the end of their career does walk for free. But the question is whether you can get the maximum out of them or not. And the fact was, we just gave him a 3.5-year contract when he signed. That wasn't enough. We didn't legislate for his end of his career or something like that. And we put ourselves in that position that we had to give him an extension. A 2-year would have been better, but yeah, at that point we had to give him that deal. How many players have walked away for free from Arsenal, and we have said that why haven't you extended the contract? I mean, people get pissed about, let's say Ramsey is one who's gone, and who knows whether he would have been fit or not. He could have stayed and could have broken his leg or something and never played again, and then we would have been like, if he had such an injury record, why did you give him the contract? Or Van Persie could have stayed at Arsenal and could have gone back to being injured. Again, people just talk about, oh, you sold Van Persie for 24 million because he went there and he started performing so well. We say that Alexis Sanchez, we dodged a bullet because he went to Manchester United and he didn't perform. But all of this, the analysis is not made on the day that you're handing out the contract, but rather it's always later.
Yeah.
Right. Sure.
I agree with you. I do. I agree with both sides. I think both things can be right. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it depends on how you feel about the player and how you view squad building. Like, I can understand why you would think that it's better to re-sign Aubameyang because we can't replace his goals and all that kind of stuff. I completely understand that. I don't have like the same thought process when it comes to players and stuff like that. I think about like, I have no attachment to like any of the senior players. And I think the faster that we kind of move them on, it is what it is, like, because I see us in like a 5-year rebuild. I don't see us as a shortcut into, like in a year or two, we'll be right back. So I don't see like, the trying to ease them away. Like, I'm kind of like more like, let's just move them on. But my way doesn't necessarily mean that that's the right way. That's how I feel. So I completely understand your point too.
I mean, being for one player is not because, they have fancy cars or you like their haircut. It's because they have performed continuously for the past, 2 years. We would have been in the exact same position, relegation threatened last year, if Aubameyang wasn't performing.
This is true.
So that is the difference between an Arsenal from last year and Arsenal of this year. This year, Aubameyang doesn't perform. We are in the relegation fight, right? Like, so that needs to be taken into perspective. And again, you guys also spoke about the fact that, see, this year this summer is going to be very important, right? Like you said, Jess, and everybody, that Lacazette is probably going to leave. I agree with that. Ozil is going to go. We're getting, all of these high wage earners. David Luiz hopefully will be gone. Socrates seems like he's going. Kolasinac is gone. So now you've got to replace these guys because you've got to have a 25-man squad at least, right? Now you could replace them with, and any player that comes in wants at least, let's say, a 4-year, 5-year contract. Now you could replace them with absolute mediocre players, thinking that we are not in these competitions, so we don't need that sort of squad depth. Or you could get players, and I'm not talking about, I don't know why we associate, like, world class is used very loosely, like world class and Bundia. Like, how are these two words, like these words used in the same sentence? Like, he's not world class, and he's not, Yes.
To be fair, Rohan, and I'm not saying it's certified with you. I promise. I don't think Aubameyang is world class.
You say that now.
Continue on.
He's a world-class finisher. We have to just be realistic. He's a world-class finisher, but he's not a world-class player.
Yes,
like
I agree with that. Okay.
You see what I'm saying? Like Lewandowski is like a world-class player.
Yeah.
He's world-class. Like, in any sense of the, whatever. Aubameyang is very good at a certain specific thing. He's probably the best at a specific skill. But when it comes to just like, you just can't put him in any system and he'll work. Like, I feel like if you throw Lewandowski in any team, it works as long as he's getting, as long as he's in and around the ball.
Those are very rare. But even if you were to stretch it a little bit, I would think Aubameyang sort of falls within that category. But like, of course, there are so many other players that we are talking about who do not fall within that category. Now we could go with utter mediocrity and think that we just need 11, and then we sort of make do with whoever we get just because they don't have high wages, or we go in and we add quality people who can compete for the first team and can probably help the team go forward. Not these world class players, these divas who are going to come in and basically just down tools if they're not playing. Have the hunger of playing. The Liverpool model. He's brought in, when he got in Salah wasn't world class. He's become world class now. Diego Jota is not. I don't think he's world class, but he is a great signing. Because he works, right? He works.
So, like, I want to ask you, like, so you're looking at Arsenal right now. How many players do you think we are away from top 4? How many players do you think we need, and what positions do they play?
I think that we need. Okay, I have a list here. We need a good right-footed centre back. That's one. I agree. That's the first position. Holding is not. He will not get us into a challenging position, right? Right-footed centre back. I think what we need is an upgrade on Hector Bellerin, because Hector has, for me, and I have really rooted for Hector over the years, because his that game that he played against, I remember his debut against Borussia Dortmund, where he got absolutely destroyed, and then I also remember his game against Bayern Munich, which was his coming out game, right? Like, where he was terrorized by Douglas Costa, and then he went in and assisted the winner there, right? But he's just so inconsistent, and I think that he doesn't have the right mentality. Things that Sanchez only wants to win and it's unbearable, things like that.
Oh, Bellerin.
Yeah, I think
the holding. I was like, what are you talking about? Yeah,
I think he's too goody for this team, and that is the problem with this Arsenal team. So I think that's the second position that we need to change.
Okay, what else?
We need someone beside Partey, because right now whoever we have is not good enough. Xhaka plays. I mean, I think. And I was like really mad at Xhaka like the day he got the red card. And generally, I think he does not merit, being in a team like Arsenal. But I feel like he has some quality that a lot of other players in our team don't have. That is the issue. But he needs to go. So we need someone like. I mean, I don't know, like Santi Cazorla is like, you don't get players like that. I'm just naming someone, but that is the third position. Okay. And then I think that we've got a very good core in Martinelli, Saka, and Smith Rowe, but all of them are youngsters. Smith Rowe, we've hyped him up in 3 matches. He's played 3 games for us right now, and now he's a world beater. And this is what
you're damn right he is.
The next time he has a dip in form, when he's played too many games, when other teams have figured him out, then we're going to start like this expectation that we have from him is unrealistic right now. And we need someone else with a little more experience, Stan had said, like someone in a 25 to 27-year-old age bracket who could teach him something, who could compete. There's plenty of matches, and these guys, Smith Rowe has a history of injuries. Martinelli is nursing a long-term injury. So these are, so I would say one or two of the players who can be versatile. I don't want a number 10 who can just play a number 10, because now when we play a 4-3-3, then
so still 2 more players. Okay.
I mean, that's what we need to challenge, because this squad is what the squad is. And I think,
Okay.
so that basically that's five players out of 11 is what we require to challenge.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
Right. You think that we need any less? Like, does anyone think that we?
I do actually. Top 4.
You think less?
I don't think top 4. I think. See, it's tough because there's so many injuries, and like you look at the season and like all that. Like I said to Jessica, but I think before you got here, Rowan, like there's no like unbeatable team. Like the league is up for grabs right now. I'm not saying we're gonna win the league. I'm not saying that, but I'm saying like, and you look at it and you're like, okay, like no team really scares me. Like Liverpool doesn't really scare me. It's funny, a team like Southampton, maybe like a Villa, like what Jess was saying, but no team really scares me. I think now more than ever. I'm not saying this season, but I'm saying like the next 2 or 3 seasons. I think the top 4 is up for grabs. I would say I'd probably say like three players.
3 players, and what positions are they? Because that's important too.
See, I think everything you said, Rohan, was correct. But the thing is, I would probably use what you said as far as, I know I'm jumping the gun, as far as the winning the league. I think with Hector Bellerin, I agree with everything you said. He can get us in the top 4.
I was talking about challenging for the league.
That's okay. So then, in that case, I would probably more or less agree with, 4 or 5 players.
I was just asking for top 4. Like, I think for top 4, we can, Hector Bellerin can get us to top 4. I think you get another
1 player. If you need 5, you maybe need 4. Something like that. But
I think Bellerin can carry us. I think Partey can carry the midfield in the top 4. I don't think it's out of like the realm of possibility. But again, I think it comes down to just like injuries and just teams dropping points, teams having bad games, other teams having injuries, and it sucks because I never. I see on Twitter all the time people be like, "Oh, like if Chelsea, we need Chelsea and Man U to tie," or "Oh, like I hope Brighton beats Southampton," or I hate when people tweet that. It's like, no, I worry about us. 3 points, we move on to the next game. That's it. Done. Don't worry about everyone else.
But I think what other teams also have over us is playing within a system on a weekly basis. And I think like next season, if we keep like at least like maybe 6 of those players that are playing and we keep playing them consistently, we'll see better results. I think we just haven't been together long enough with, if you really think about Arteta, he's been the tinker man this entire season. He's been tinkering with the lineup the entire time. And then last season, he played 2 different systems. Right. So when he gets his system and he can play at least 6 or 7 of the same people in that lineup every single week, I think we'll gain, a little bit on the other teams without necessarily having to improve the squad. What a lot of those teams have over us is just experience playing in a system that they believe in, week in and week out. I think that's a big part of it too.
I agree.
Yep. Drew, you're quiet. What's going on over there?
He's doing.
One thing that I must say is like, let's not forget that, and that's maybe not the model, but Chelsea did finish 10th in 2015-16, and then
it was 10th, right? Yeah,
and won the league.
Oh, yeah.
Right. So why can't we sort of try to aim for not winning the league, but getting a direct push from 8th to the Champions League spots, right?
I don't disagree with you.
It's not so unreasonable to ask for that.
Yeah, it's true. All right, y'all. I have to go to bed.
Yeah, I think this is a good place
to
wrap up.
Tomorrow, debut.
Yeah, I need to
Big
get in bed.
Coming tomorrow, baby. You want to go ahead? You want to go ahead and shout it out?
Yeah, guys, if you're around 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time and 5 p.m. British time, I don't know, British time, whatever. The the first episode of She Knows Arsenal will be live on YouTube. It's a live Q&A. We'll talk about like some current Arsenal topics, and then I'll go into questions, and the questions will be from you guys in the comment section. Or if you can't be there live, you can always send them to me via DM at She Knows Arsenal. That's the actual handle. You can just DM me your questions and I'll answer them live. So I'll see you guys there.
Awesome. Looking very, very much looking forward to that. So,
yay!
Drew, did you want to get anything else in here? Because you've been quiet there for quite a while, man.
No, I'm good.
All good?
Yeah, I'm good.
All right, guys. It's been fun as always. This was little bit more focused than last week's was, but now this was good. Thanks everybody for joining me. Thanks everybody in the chat box for sticking with us. We really appreciate it. Again, She Knows Arsenal tomorrow, 12 noon Eastern time. Check it out. Get your questions in for that right away. Obviously, She Knows Arsenal. So get it done. Bottom line, we'll catch everybody next week then. Stay tuned. There will be other content being produced on this channel, so watch this space. And with that, thank you everybody in the chat box. Thanks guys, Rowan, Ryan, Drew, Jess. Obviously I'd be remiss if I didn't say Stan and Gary. Thanks guys, appreciate it. We'll see